Oh.
Welcome to the Healing Corner podcast, where we're having honest conversations in a safe place since 2022.
I'm excited. I'm excited because there's so much coming in that needs to happen, you know? And it's like, when is a better time than
Yeah,
now?
right
Let's
now.
make it happen. Let's do this thing, you know?
Yeah, yeah. Hello, friends. Hello, hello. Thank you for joining us. Welcome to the Healing Corner podcast, where we get together and we talk about real life situations and life things to educate the community and to keep us growing together. I am Coach Yams, joined with Coach Deb, the co-host of the Healing Corner podcast. And we have a guest on with us today, Tyjah, who we will have introduce herself. And then we'll introduce ourselves, and then we'll get this conversation started.
Well, hi everyone. My name is Tyjah. I am a community relations navigator at Music City PrEP Clinic. I have been with the company coming up on 2 years at the end of this month. So very, very excited about that. Honestly, love what I do. Um, I just love everyone who I work with. And a little bit about me. I am sort of a Nashville native, but I am from Florida, but I grew up here. Like I went to middle school, high school here. So I know the land and stuff like that. Then I went back to Florida to go to college. Then I came back here because my mom emotionally blackmailed me to come back. But it was a good decision to come back. So I'm kind of glad that she did.
Awesome. Go ahead, Deb.
Okay, so for anyone who's new here, welcome. My name's Deborah Williams. If you're interested in any of my services, check out debshealingcornerstone.com. I'm an entrepreneur, so you want to check out the website, and you can get information on who I am and what I like to do. All right.
And then for anybody who doesn't know me, I am Yamana. The internet knows me as Coach Yams. And I'm helping professional millennial women to live life on purpose, unapologetically, and to stop doing shit out of obligation. And if you're interested in any of the things that I do, in addition to virtual dance parties and podcasting, you can check out the link, and that will give you all of my information. And so today's topic is PrEP Talk, empowering communities in the fight against HIV and AIDS. And so I wanted to bring Tyjah on from the Music City PrEP Clinic because I know that prior to me deciding that I wanted to explore what PrEP could mean for my life, I was not educated. I didn't really know a lot of things. I kind of knew what I thought maybe I knew, things that I maybe have heard through the grapevine, but I wanted to go and get properly educated. And so I would like Tyjah to explain kind of what the Music City PrEP Clinic does and the benefits of PrEP in general.
All right. So, Music City PrEP Clinic, we are a clinic that offers HIV prevention as well as HIV treatment. We do also offer STI testing at our clinic. Prevention comes in the form of PrEP, which is a once-a-day pill that anybody can take to prevent themselves from getting HIV, even if they become exposed to it. So, say for instance, if someone is having unprotected sex with a partner who's HIV positive and they're what we call is detectable. And detectable basically means that they can transmit the virus. If you are on PrEP, you are over 99% protected from getting HIV in that exposure. So Music City PrEP has been around since 2017. Actually started out very, very small. If you ever take a tour of our clinic, all of our tour guides go over how we used to operate out of a cardboard box. And so we kind of grew from just going out, like our founders from going out to the different type of gay bars and the LGBTQ plus events that they had in the community and advocating for PrEP, because before MCPC was founded, the widespread use of PrEP was it wasn't really widely known. So after they did that, they kind of grew our patient count from, I think, 500 to now we have over 10,000 patients now. So we're making a very, very big splash and a very much needed splash in the community. Yeah, that's just a little bit about MCPC.
Dave, you got any questions?
So does this have any side effects for anyone? Like if it's a long-term thing that someone takes, would it have any side effects at all?
So you will go more in depth about specific side effects with your medical provider, whoever you are assigned to, and they'll, because a lot of the side effects are based on, you know, your medical history and other things of that nature. I can't medically speak to that, but general side effects typically include nausea, headaches within the first couple of days of taking the medication, as it's the same as if you're taking any other medication. Your body just has to get used to taking it. But more serious side effects, again, you would probably have to talk about that with your provider. But the only one that is really kind of well known is for some people, it affects your kidneys, but it doesn't affect it in a major way. So for women and men, as you get older, the functionality of your kidney automatically, like, naturally decreases. So you just have to think of the side effect as kind of like that. But it doesn't, it's not to the point where it's going to be like, oh, like I'm taking PrEP and my kidney falls out. Like, it's definitely not like that. But those side effects typically only affect 1% of the population of PrEP users.
Okay. Have you guys broken it down to like nationalities, or like, or, you know, is there more of this that are taking it? Like, do you guys have a study on that?
So we don't have a study as far as MCPC, but the CDC does a very good job of putting out statistics, and then they're very good at putting that out in layman's terms. So there are statistics out there of all of the different populations, the demographics, and all of the statistics on, based on this demographic and this population, who is taking PrEP, who should take PrEP, and they kind of like look at the numbers through that way.
Oh, okay. That's all I got right now.
Yeah. And I was going to say, and so to continue with like the statistics, I haven't looked up CDC's statistics specifically, but I know the reason that PrEP interested me and why I decided to get on it is because as Black women, we are disproportionately impacted by HIV and AIDS because we tend to partner with Black men who are not always honest about their sexual desires, orientations, exposures. Mm-hmm. And so in order to protect myself regardless, I said, you know what? It's worth at least having a conversation about. And I went in, I've been on it for, I think, 4 months now. Haven't had any issues. They do the blood work to make sure that your kidneys have proper functionality so that they're not exposing you to any additional risk by putting you on the medication. And I haven't had any issues, and smooth sailing. And I go in for my every 3-month STI testing because that's what we should all be doing, whether you're with somebody monogamously or not, because people be lying.
Yes, they do. And I tell, because a part of one of my special projects at the organization is I work with our college students. So I see a lot of them come in, and every time that I'm going in and I'm navigating them, I'm like, listen, like, at the end of the day, you're the only person that can take care of you. Like, somebody can tell you, yes, like, I did this, I did that. But at the end of the day, you got to make sure that you are taken care of. And going back to your point of how Black women are, you know, disproportionately affected. It seems like everything that comes out, African Americans will be the demographic that is just the most disproportionately affected. Like, we can have a sneezing epidemic, and I can guarantee you, Black people will probably sneeze the most. So it's disheartening, but there are a lot of reasons to that, especially our heterosexual women, because we are starting to see that our heterosexual African-American women are starting to have the highest diagnosis. So I think when the CDC released their data in 2019, over half of those diagnoses, HIV diagnoses of that year, were African-American women. That speaks volumes because, you know, there are a lot of reasons why that could happen. One, it could just be you're not educated about your options. You're dealing with men who are on the DL, or you're dealing with men who are on the spectrum and they don't know their status. You know, that can be a whole another topic for the day. But you got to take care of you. Like, it's perfectly fine if you're monogamous, if you're into polygamy, or whatever it is you may be. You just have to take care of you. And I tell people too, like, you kind of luck up when you come in and you can test positive for syphilis, chlamydia, gonorrhea, because you can come back in, you can get a couple of rounds of treatment and you're done. You come in, you test positive for HIV, that is a life-changing diagnosis. So why would I not want to be on something to where if I'm having a sexual encounter and this person is HIV positive, if I'm in a hospital setting and there was a needle that wasn't properly disposed of and it was used to treat an HIV patient and I pricked myself with it, that's another instance where you can get HIV. So if, you know, and you never know what could happen. So why would I not be on something that could potentially eradicate my risk of contracting HIV?
So that makes me think of another question. So does it cover I mean, if you're getting this pill and you're taking it, so if you contract it outside of a sexual contact, would it still prevent it?
It prevents it in all instances. It prevents it from blood transfusions, from accidental needle pricks. And that's really big too, because you see a lot of HIV infections among IV drug users. And again, like, you know, the mission of Music City PrEP is to get to 0 new HIV infections in the community. So you have to attack it from all fronts. Like, it's not just a sexually transmitted disease. A lot of people have that misconception that, oh, okay, well, it's only through sex, and it's not. Like, you can get it in a myriad of ways. So
okay. This is good.
Yeah. I'm drawing a blank. I don't know if I have a question. I know that something that me and Deb talked about, and we would like for you to, you know, go as far into detail as you're willing. I know for me, this has been a preventative measure for me, but it's only because it's preventative. It's not, HIV is not something that has personally or up close and personal impacted my life or someone in my immediate vicinity's life.
Right.
And so I can't speak to like what this looks like when it actually impacts somebody's life and how that unfolds and like the things that go through a person's mind and all the things. I don't know any of these things. And I think that Deb says she's also not been closely impacted with HIV in her immediate vicinity. So I know that we had spoken offline and you have shared things, but however far you're willing to share, could you share what you know about being close to people who deal with this?
So I have 2 aunts now who are currently living with HIV. They've had HIV since before I was even born. And then I have another aunt who actually passed away from AIDS. And I'll start with my 2 aunts who are currently living. Back in the day, getting HIV was basically seen as a death sentence because there were not a lot of treatments unless you were super rich out there that you could do to really kind of like combat the virus and stuff like that. That has drastically changed as, you know, science has improved and things like that. But, you know, growing up, I used to see my aunties go to the hospital like all the times. It could be from something as simple as it's got cold, like the weather changed and they got a cold, and bam, now they are at risk for developing pneumonia simply because their immune system is compromised from HIV. So it is not really something that you want to live with, even as we've had these scientific improvements. And when I do my presentations in colleges, like I always highlight that I have a slide on there where I talk about how with our ART patients, because ART is what we call our HIV positive patients, and that's the treatment that they receive. It's like you can live a normal life, but I always have it highlighted because it's not going to be normal, because you're going to have to rely on taking medication for the rest of your life to survive. And that can be a nuance in itself. So, it's just it's very nerve-wracking too, because you have this diagnosis, and then back when we still have stigma related to it, but back when people didn't even want to touch you because you had HIV, and they looked at you as if you were less than human. Like that really wears on a person's mental state, and it shouldn't be like that. We should never treat humans like that, regardless of the fact, but society. So that's really kind of the situations with my two aunts who are living with it. And then for my aunt who passed away, no one knew she had AIDS until she died. She went into organ failure because she was not taking her medication. And this was back in the early 2000s. So I can only imagine, had she been able to get treatment, if she would be alive to this day, because I'm pretty sure she will. And that's really kind of like a scary thing to think about, because it's just like something as simple as you being on your ART medication and you could still be here to be with your kids and your grandkids. So, I will say that as we educate people, we also have to work on removing the barrier of stigma, because a lot of people are ashamed of even going to get tested for STIs, like just regular chlamydia, syphilis, or gonorrhea, let alone HIV. So if you don't know your status, you don't know if you're passing this disease, this virus off to anyone else, and you're also not knowing how to take care of yourself. So just kind of really like working to reduce that stigma, empowering people to get tested every 3 to 6 months, more if depending on your sexual activity, however you see fit, and really just educating people out there about PrEP and just making them feel good for themselves, and especially our DL men, because that's a very big population that's oftentimes overlooked, because you have your one side who advocates for them, and then you have your other side who's just like, well, in this day and age, why are you still DL? Like it's your fault. You need to come out of the closet. And you can never rush someone with expressing their sexuality, because especially as a Black man, it's a lot that they have to deal with in terms of expressing their sexuality. You have to deal with the religious aspect, your family aspect, societal aspects. So it's all these different stigmas that they face. So really kind of like making the space for them to feel comfortable where they can, at the very least, discreetly go get tested, discreetly be on PrEP. And then really just destigmatizing PrEP itself. A lot of people think that PrEP and HIV, oh, well, I'm not a part of the LGBTQ plus community, so I don't need to worry about it. Like, it's a gay disease. It's not a gay disease. I can guarantee you HIV doesn't enter someone's blood. And like, hey, this person is a heterosexual Black woman, like, or heterosexual Black man. I'm not going to infect them. It doesn't work that way. So just really destigmatizing that will go a long way in reducing the numbers for our community, because it's so disheartening at times. I know my boss always likes to say that, and it's true, in the next 10 or so years, HIV will be a thing of the past for white populations. Why? Because they embrace PrEP. Like, it's just statistically speaking, like in metropolitan areas like New York City, Chicago, the way that they've embraced PrEP will basically eradicate HIV in their community. Black people, on the other hand, we have a long way to go, just in terms of how we can just combat a lot of the things that we have to deal with. Some are rightfully so. So, we have this inherent mistrust of anything, really. Like, medication, doctor's office, and that's rightfully so, because historically we have been, you know, we've been to appointments and we've faced a lot of stigma with that. You know, doctors are biased and things of that nature. But that is really the whole little caveat about PrEP.
Yeah. I have a question now. So, for people that are already positive, like they're HIV positive, can they take PrEP too, or how does that work? Do they just need to just stick with what they're given from the doctor?
Yeah. So, if you are HIV positive, you cannot take PrEP, because if you do, then you can potentially build up a resistance to any antibiotics that you are prescribed for your ART treatment, and then that could really kind of mess you up, because if you build up a resistance to antibiotics, then it's going to be harder for you to treat or to manage the HIV in your body.
Okay. And then I have a question. For people who come in and find out that they're HIV positive, what resources are available to support them through the Music City PrEP Clinic?
So we actually have a separate part of Music City PrEP Clinic where we specifically have a ART services. So that is completely dedicated to any HIV positive person. So if a person is coming in for a PrEP appointment, and for some, they end up testing positive for HIV, then we have two, I don't want to call them care counselors because that's not what they are. But we, two of my coworkers, Bryce and Christopher, they are trained on how to kind of really go in and just get whatever it is that the patient needs. They're really amazing at just going in with that. They're very compassionate. They're just very good to talk to. As you can imagine, that is a very high stressful time, and it's a lot of things that can go through someone's mind, denial, then it's shame, then it's, it's like, oh my gosh, like anxiety, like, am I gonna live? So we offer that. And then we, up until recently, we did have our own therapist, but we do have like links to outside resources. Like if someone comes in and they don't have insurance, like our financial aid department is really good at looking at the different options of, okay, well, how can we get this person taken care of for their visit? And we do also offer like a Lyft program. So if a patient isn't able to make it to their appointment because of transportation issues, then we can assist in that, stuff like that. But we do partner with our outside organizations to provide any help that we cannot provide in the clinic ourselves.
That's beautiful. So that means that basically any age could come up there, because you're saying because elderly people are the ones most of the time rides and stuff. So that's cool.
Yeah, and that's funny too, because when we get into the conversation of like STIs and not sexuality, but like sexual activity, you never really think of the older population, but they very much well. So you say that.
Exactly. So I heard that nurse.
Oh yeah, exactly.
So they needed to. Yeah.
They needed it.
Yes. And ultimately, I mean, this is supposed to be fun. We're supposed to be able to have fun and enjoy life. And so I hope that this conversation has been helpful to somebody, because, the first step is education. And then the next step is to have conversations and to help hold space for people so that we can start to destigmatize things and bring this information and awareness to our community, because you don't know what you don't know. And so, yeah. Beautiful. I don't know. We got 5 minutes left. This has been great. Does anybody have any like final thoughts or additional takeaways, or do you have anything that you want to offer the people or leave the people with in particular, Tyjah?
Really just get tested, know your status. Like that really is the biggest thing. Like if you don't know your status, then you don't know what you're out here giving, you know. So stop with the shame of talking about sex. Like I went to so many different events and like people walk past, I'm like, you want a condom? And they're just looking at me like, wow, oh my God, condom, why would you say that in public? And I'm like, sex is the most biological thing anybody can have. Like, why are you looking at me like I'm crazy? Because I'm like, here, take a, I have a bin in my house of condoms. So I'm just like, take condoms. Like it's okay. But yeah, really just get tested, know your status. And I think as individuals, we can all do our part in just helping to reduce the stigma, you know, like opening up the floor to have these conversations with your friends, your family members, just, you know, really kind of like going out and educating the community, because it starts with us, you know, and that's really, word of mouth is the biggest thing you can really do.
I just actually have a question. I know we only got a couple more minutes, but
go for it.
I know that you said that you guys had a therapist. Are they thinking of like adding on someone else that's kind of similar to a therapist position, or are you that's a permanent, you know, thing that they're just not going to have a part?
I don't think it's permanent, but then again, I'm not too sure specifically what they are gonna have vision for that. So I can't really speak to that because I just don't know. But I can definitely find that out and then shoot over an email or just send y'all a text and just let y'all know the outcome of that.
Yeah, I think that would be really cool. Because this seems like a very young organization that's starting off really, you know, trying to cover some ground. It's like, and be changing a lot of lives at the same time. And this is an amazing, you know, opportunity for somebody. So
it is, yes, I wholeheartedly agree. And it's needed too. Like,
and I like the part where you were saying that people need to talk about it, because that goes back to how we were just saying how the elderly people, they don't talk about it, but it be talked about. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you might as well talk about it so that we can be aware. And when we get your age, we'll know what's up.
Exactly.
Yeah. We got to stop trying to, we have to stop gatekeeping information.
Yes.
That's what it comes down to. We got to stop withholding this information. It's not just for us. The things that we know and that we learn, we can share it with people. It will help everybody. Help me help you. Okay. Well, you know, I guess we'll close this out. Tyjah, thank you so much for giving us some of your Saturday and the information that you know and the stories that you have. I'm sure it's helped somebody. Deb, I don't know if you want to say any final words.
I'm good. We appreciate you coming on here with us. Much love to you, and sending y'all much positive energy to keep pushing forward. Spread the message.
Thank you. Yes. Thank y'all for having me. It's always amazing just to, you know, be able to sit down and have these conversations.
Yes. Yeah. And if y'all enjoyed this episode, or if you want to stay in touch with what the Healing Corner podcast has coming up, make sure you like, share, subscribe. If anything came up during the episode and you have questions, put it in the comments. Reach out to us. We will circle back around to comments. We do respond to emails. And also make sure that you join us on the 28th when we talk Living Liberated, Navigating Non-Monogamous Relationships. Because, yeah, again, it's all about having the conversations so that we can stop feeling like we need to be shameful and hidden behind closets and doors about whatever it is that you like. You like what you like. As long as it's consent and you ain't hurting nobody and there ain't no children involved, no animals.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. That's funny.
So anyway, thank y'all so much for joining the Healing Corner podcast. We will see y'all again on 10/28 and talk to y'all next time. Love you so much. Take care of yourselves and love everybody else around you.
Yeah.
Goodbye.
Bye.